think the events at 13th Street do all of those things. You know, we want in 2 or 3 hours to sort of give you a really good sense that we go so beyond just trying to make great wines, and you know, that there's a lot more to enjoy at the winery. And so, you know, the bulk of the events to date have been more on the fun side of things. So we now have 2, actually 3 annual events. The one that we just enjoyed this past weekend was called the Street Fight, and this is the 4th Street Fight, and that is, you know, that's beer versus wine with food, which one works better and why, and get industry experts at the event to sort of try to coerce you into believing one or the other is better, or really just to hang out and share time with professionals. A little bit of music to sort of enhance the mood a bit. You know, the bonfire down in the amphitheater, so people who, just like you, who don't want to leave. It's getting a little late in the evening, the sun's gone down, it's a little cool, but you know, there's 20 people cuddled around the bonfire doing one of the great Canadian things, and that's just hanging around a bonfire, you know, with a glass of beer or a glass of wine and talking until, you know, they can't keep their eyes open, sort of thing. So that's a strong theme at the winery. It really is that, you know, just getting people together, a big crowd of people, a lot of people who don't know each other, you know, who will know each other after they leave the event. We take that to another level when we do some of our big feasts. So we do Outstanding in the Field. This will be the 3rd year we've done Outstanding in the Field. And that is an organization out of California that basically partners with a farmer in North America. That farmer showcases the goods that they produce. So if they're a pumpkin farmer, there'll be a strong pumpkin theme, you know, in the fall to the feast. We happen to be grape farmers, so wine plays a very important role. But then we subcontract out, or we partner with a chef, a local chef who knows us well, who works with us well, who enjoys our product, and they cook for anywhere from 100 to 150 people at one table right in the middle of the farm. So in our case, we have a table of 130 between Pinot Noir vines on one side and I don't know if it's sunflowers or squash on the other side, and it's a single table, white linen, beautiful, 130 people who may or may not know each other, and to take it one step further, they serve each other. We have a full team of wait staff and sommeliers, and the wine service, everything's fantastic. The chef is cooking right in the field beside the table, and so you can see the smoke rising and smell everything as it's getting prepped even before you arrive at the table. And then we serve it on platters of 8 or 10 people, and so you've just met Joe to your right, and you're now serving Joe lake trout, you know, and he's serving you another little bit of wine, or you're talking about this and that, and people crave that community. I mean, in 2012, when we're so detached from each other, we're so connected electronically, and yet physically we're detached because everything's been digitized. You know, our communication is fully digitized. To get people back together in a farm, in the field, literally, surrounded by the stuff they're about to eat or drink, and to help them communicating with total strangers and feel like they're pen pals or friends at the end of the day is extremely popular. It sells out every year, and so we really like that. We're doing the same thing with a lunch during the International Cool Climate Chardonnay celebration, which is July 20th, 21st, and 22nd this year, and we will have a lunch for 120 people at one table, and we'll taste 15 different Chardonnays from around the world, all paired to local Chardonnay-friendly foods prepared by a great local chef, arguably the greatest local chef, Stephen Treadwell. And again, it's that whole community come together. A common cause is we're a love of Chardonnay and a love of wine education and a love of good food and drink, but in a way that it's the big harvest table. It's like all 120 of them have just finished helping us harvest grapes, and now we're sitting down for the feast afterwards. So that's a big part of it. Community is a big part of it. Good times are a big part of it. We do a blues and barbecue event every year. That's August 25th this year, and that is a similar kind of theme. That one is, again, great Canadian things. I'm not sure that blues is a great Canadian thing, but we certainly have our love of blues and a love of barbecue, to be sure. That one, nobody's gonna argue that one. So we have Buster Rhinos, whose family's from Carolina. They're sort of national champs in Southern barbecue, many, many years over. Their son has opened locations in Ontario, Southern Ontario, and this is a guy who takes 30 hours to smoke his brisket, and everything is done extraordinarily well. So we invite him to be the one major food provider. He does ribs, he does brisket, he does pulled pork, he does jalapeno poppers, he does smoked Mars bars, he does all sorts of crazy, amazing barbecue, the best you've ever had. And we have Peter Boyd and his blues band playing, 3 sets throughout the evening under the stars. He's out on the open stage, and we've got, a top guitarist in Peter Boyd, a top bassist, a top drummer, and then we often have invited guests who just show up. So last year we had Jamie Hazard, who plays for the Vintage Soul Band out of Bracebridge, a little further north, and this is a guy who's played, Pink Floyd for 30 years, and it's, and all blues-inspired rock and that sort of stuff. And he just shows up with his brand new Korg keyboard, and says, "Guys, if you need a keyboardist, I'd love to join in. Come on up." So he sets up his keyboard on the stage, and before you know it, they're throwing all the solos to him because he is just rolling, and it just becomes this whole amazing thing. So if somebody was to show up with a guitar, they'd probably be invited on stage, and again, there's that community, that feeling. We get about 100, we had 150 there last year. Blankets, out on the grass, lawn chairs, eat all the barbecue you can enjoy, lots of wine by the glass, lots of beer, and amazing blues late into the evening, the bonfire, etc. We're also doing the Grapes of Wrath this year, which is something that is very, very important to the winery as well, and that's the giving back to our community. And we have a new health center that's opening up just several blocks east of us, the Niagara Health System, and we've all been touched by various illnesses in our families, and you want to give back to those things. So we're with the Canadian Cancer Society. We have this survivor race happening on July 7th at the winery, and that basically is a 5K basic training type, obstacle course in the middle of the vineyards and down the valley and through the mud pits and over the 12-foot walls and under the barbed wire, and there won't be any live gunfire over your heads like it would be at West Point maybe, but as much of that as we possibly can. That really 5 kilometers feels like it's 20 all of a sudden. And you've got these real hardcore athletes who do this stuff and nothing else, like putting them on the road and having them run half marathon, boring. I need to be able to sort of get dirty and scarred on the way. And so there's these real hardcore warrior athletes and survivor athletes that do these things. And this is all for Canadian Cancer Society, and I think we've raised over $22,000 already with this race. And that's another thing that's happening in a winery. Crazy place for it to happen, but not for 13th Street. These are things that we've got 25 acres on the estate, and a lot of it obviously is planted to vines. Some of it is greenhouse space, and a lot of it is what Mother Nature put there, millennia ago in the Carolinian forest in the valleys and untouched. And so we're utilizing all of those spaces to maximize the opportunities to experience 13th Street. And this is just, another version of that.
Make sure to visit 13thstreetwinery.com and join our newsletter. Watch more videos, download complete stories, tasting notes, accolades, and buzzworthy news. And to order your favorite wines.